G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have some potentially scary news for you guys. I think a lot of people read the blog post about the Rift to Go Shockwave launcher and the new armored traps not coming to competitive Fortnite, when actually the blog post never said that. And this scares me a lot because both the Shockwave launcher and the armored trap especially, if they make it into competitive, we could be up for, I don't want to say one of the worst seasons ever, but those would be two absolutely awful additions to competitive, and I'm going to talk about why. I know you're thinking, oh, Ozzy, I read the blog post. It said they're not making it into competitive, but it never actually says that. Also, we have some more news on the leaked Winter Royale that I talked about in yesterday's video. Epic has actually gone in and removed the dates on the back end, making it look even more likely we are getting a Winter Royale, and they just unfortunately put it in the game and a few of us found it. I also want to talk about some of the big names coming back to Fortnite. I already talked about Daquan and Hamlins. Hamlins is still playing a fair bit. We also had none other than TSM Myth and the Chap. I mean, if Chap comes back to Fortnite, I would be so incredibly happy. He played for like 5 hours today, and I want to talk to you guys about whether he will be coming back to play competitive. We also have some big team swaps again. It looks like Booga has eventually now found his new team, so there's a lot to talk about. Let's just jump straight into it. Let's start off talking about the big one. Why do I think potentially the Shockwave launcher and the armored traps are going to be coming not only to Fortnite, but to competitive Fortnite? These are already in the game. The Shockwave launcher and the Rift to Go were accidentally put in. You could actually find them this morning if you played games. Fortnite had to go and make a tweet saying, whoops, this was an accident basically. We've taken them back out, but this is where you can use your gold to vote on which one you want back in the game. Do you want the Shockwave launcher or do you want the Rift to Go? I talked about this about a week or so ago about how this voting system could really affect Fortnite, especially competitive, but the blog post has made a lot of people believe that these changes will not be coming to competitive. I had a whole bunch of people tell me on stream, oh, don't worry, Ozzy, it says they're not coming to competitive, it's going to be fine. It doesn't actually say that. If you go to the bottom of the blog post, it says in the competitive notes, donation board voting is not in competitive playlist. That doesn't mean the results aren't in competitive playlist. That just means you don't have the ability to vote in the competitive playlist, which makes sense because in arena and in the comp game modes, you don't have a lot of gold to spend, whereas pubs, you store it up and that's where you vote. So this doesn't mean they are coming to competitive, and I really hope they don't, but a lot of people have just taken that message as donation board voting results will not be in competitive Fortnite, and therefore the Shockwave launcher or the Rift to Go wouldn't make it into the game. But it doesn't actually say that, so I don't want to get you guys too scared because I really hope Epic is smart enough to realize we don't want the Shockwave launcher or the Rift to Go in the game. If I had to pick one or the other, I'm picking the Rift to Go because yeah, it's good mobility, it's a little bit broken, and it kind of removes a bit of the skill of rotating, but at the same time, with how good people's aim is these days and how good they are at beaming, the Rift to Go might not be as strong as what it used to be back in the day. I always talk about it back in World Cup. When you hit a launch pad, you would sit in the sky, you would do circles, you'd feel so safe because people just really didn't beam you or focus you as heavy as they do now. Rift to Go's were the same way. You felt really safe when you used one, which made them really broken. With how good people are now, and just look at launch pads, you launch and if you're in the sky for 3 seconds more than you should be, you're gonna get beamed. They might not be so strong, but the Shockwave launcher is absolutely terrible for the game in my opinion. And right now, if you look at the gold voting, it's actually 2 times ahead of the Rift to Go, so it's almost guaranteed at this point the Shockwave launcher will be coming back. Not only is it going to be like the old Shockwave launcher, the Caddy launcher, at least that was a mythic where only one team got it. This looks like it's going to be legendary and multiple teams will get it. That would be one of the worst additions to competitive Fortnite, in my opinion. I said I want some fun stuff. That's why if the Rift to Go comes back, I'm not going to complain about that too much. I think there's better things that could come back, like the Flint Knock. I would love to see some more utility-based items. Maybe like try to work around the whole shield bubble situation could be kind of cool. Just like I said, I've talked about this a few times. You guys keep flaming me in the comments, Ozzy. You say you want fun things back. They try to bring fun things back, and then you get annoyed about it. Same with the most recent mythics, the Carnage and the Venom. They were a lot of fun in arena. I think they could maybe be in competitive if they were tweaked a little bit and nerfed. I do want some of this fun stuff in the game. I just don't see how a Shockwave launcher will ever be okay in competitive Fortnite. Like, you would have to nerf it so much to the point where it's completely useless. for it to actually be viable in the game. The ability to just shockwave up to height and shockwave them out, shockwave out low ground, shockwave out mid ground, shockwave onto front side, shockwave. Like, you get the point here. The shockwave launcher and the caddy launcher was terrible. I don't want it to come back at all. This has got to be one of my least favorite items in the game because it takes a lot of the skill out of the game. Yeah, it's fun to use in arena. If this makes it into pubs, that's great. I would love this item to come back to pubs. It suits it so well. It's fast, it's fun. You've got some cool things that you can pull off with it, like little phase-in tricks. I like that, but it does not belong in competitive, and I think it would be one of the worst competitive seasons if there was legendary shockwave launchers everywhere around the map. So let's hope that the wording is incorrect and the donation board voting results will not be in competitive players, not just the ability to vote. That is what has me a bit nervous, but hey, let's hope Epic clarifies this, or when the vote's over, we'll be able to see. If you load into Arena and the shockwave launcher is there, we're in for a wild season. Also, the armored trap. Now, this is an interesting one. If you didn't see it, it got added to the game today. The way it works is it drops in stacks of 5. You can carry up to 20 of them. You can place them on any wall or roof, and it will give it 2,500 health. 2,500 health, and it has no critical shot. This thing is so busted. I mean, you guys probably saw the clip of Cypher PK literally like armor wall trapping kids in boxes, throwing fireflies in, and they literally can't get out because you can't edit it. I talked about how bad this kind of item would be for competitive early on. I talked about maybe if you get like a few of them, maybe they drop in single stacks, they're hard to find, you carry a max of 5. That could maybe be okay for competitive. You just put up one wall, you know, maybe if you're like on a hill and you're camping for Surge and you want a bit of protection, so you put up one wall. Even that though, I think would be insanely broken, let alone the way they are now. Just imagine a pro team tarping it on high ground with, you know, 60 of these between the 3 of them, and they get to just sit up there and pop medkits and do whatever they want because no one can touch them. Like, this does not belong in competitive, and right now it's only in pubs, thank God. But if you read the bottom of those competitive notes again, armored walls are not in competitive playlists, but are subject to the new item evaluation period, which means they could make it into competitive. I have faith that Epic will not put them in competitive because, like I said, they are just a really bad item for competitive. And this is one of the items that I think that Epic has done recently that I'm actually not a huge fan of in pubs either. I've been really happy with a lot of stuff that Epic has added to pubs, and I found it really fun. This I kind of liken to the UFOs last season. They're not very fun to use, and they're not very fun to verse. Like, when you were in the UFO, you were just... It didn't feel that skillful or that fun, and when you're versing it, it feels even more annoying. The armored walls is kind of the same situation. You're playing pubs, you get down to the last guy, you look in the distance, and there's a kid sitting in a 2x1 tower of 2,500 health metal boxes, not shooting at you, not moving, just camped up, sitting there waiting to die. And then you've got to slowly break your way in and try to kill them. Like, there's a lot of really annoying uses for this. Or there's a team that's holding you in zone, they're on the very edge, they build up this giant base out of these, they use like 10 of them to make these 2 1x1s, and now you've got 2 kids with ARs in an indestructible fortress just constantly spraying at you in zone. Like, it's not a very fun item to use or verse, and I feel like for that reason I'm not a huge fan of this item in general. Most of the time I just say pubs go crazy, it's all a bunch of fun, throw it in there, like the shockwave launcher, right? But this one just... yeah, it's not that fun for me. It really isn't fun to use or verse. It does have a counter with the shockwave launcher, which is why I really hope the shockwave launcher does make it into pubs and not competitive, because you can use the shockwave launcher to break through these walls quite easily, which does make it a pretty clear counter. Without that, the only other real counter is the mythics. I think it takes 2 uses of the mythics to break through the structure, but other than that, you're pretty much, I think it takes up to 40 or 50 AR shots just to break through this wall. Like, come on, I don't know what Epic was thinking with this one. On that note about the mythics, we did have another really exciting piece of news from Epic, and this one I do like through across the board. We had news that the Carnage and Venom symbiotes have been vaulted. I talked about potentially nerfing them, but it was going to be hard to nerf them. You'd have to make it like a 30-45 second cooldown. Maybe it only breaks 1 build and it does no damage. It only grabs you to them. Like, they were going to have to pretty much take all the fun out of the item to make it really actually usable and competitive. But hey, I kind of wanted to see it stay in the game just for a bit of fun, but looks like Epic has completely vaulted it. But also, fog is still present, but will be less dense as it rolls in. I don't know why they don't just get rid of fog in competitive altogether. It really doesn't belong in the game. If you guys have played in the fog whatsoever, it's already annoying enough in arena and pubs. You just can't really find anyone. But when it comes to competitive, the fog rolls in, Storm Surge is about to kick in, you need 100 damage, and you literally can't see anyone. It's not a great addition to the game. I always argue for more information is better. The more information you give players, the more competitive the game is. You have less guesswork and you get to know what's going on. The fog just takes out half the information or more that you would gather. You don't know where teams are rotating around you. You don't know if someone's holding you in zone. It's just, it doesn't belong in competitive. It's a fun addition to pubs and arena. Like, you know, you kind of makes it a bit spooky and you have some jump scares, a little bit of a laugh. But if the fog rolls in the last game of an FNCS Grand Finals and a team in first place can't find Surge because of it, that's not really okay in my eyes. So good update. At least they nerfed it, but I would probably rather they just get rid of it altogether. Let's talk about this Winter Royale leak that I talked about in yesterday's video. If you missed it, basically we had FNBR Unreleased, which is a leaker on Twitter, go into the back end of the system and find that there was a Frosty Frenzy, which is like the Winter Royale tournament, and it had specific dates and specific times for the event. Well, since making my video and since that tweet, I don't know which one Epic saw, but I'm guessing they saw one of them. They've gone and changed the dates, or they haven't changed and they've just taken the dates off it altogether, which makes me think even more so that this is a real event that is coming to Fortnite and it was just, you know, it was just a placeholder. I don't know if those are the exact dates we're gonna get, but it looks like Epic's realized they had it in the game, and I think if anything, it gives more evidence that we will be getting a Winter Royale style event later in this year, looking like more specifically on the 13th of December. Now, I do have some exciting news of some big faces coming back to Fortnite. I already talked about whether Daquan and Hamlins was going to play. It didn't look like Daquan was that interested, but Hamlins played for a bit. I talked about how it wasn't the best experience, only lasted a few hours, got heavily stream sniped and got off, but I was actually watching him jump on again a few days ago. He made it through about 3 hours of arena, had a lot of fun at the start, but as the games went on, he started to attract more stream snipers. I think it got a little bit less fun. He ended up jumping off and switching to Minecraft, but hey, he said that he enjoyed it and he's probably going to play it again here and there. It's never going to be his main game. He's definitely going to stick to variety, but it was awesome to see him play it once and then still come back. There is still some hope. We also had none other than TSM Myth back on Fortnite today. He was playing pubs for a little bit, started doing some duo arena fill. It didn't look like he was having the best time, I'm not going to lie. I went through the VOD. I couldn't really find any statement about whether he was enjoying the game, whether he thought it was good. Played it for a few hours though, so that's always a great sign. He wasn't getting stream sniped too badly and he was trying out Phil, so that was kind of cool to see one of the OGs come back like that as well. The big one I wanted to talk about though is we have Chap potentially coming back to Fortnite, and specifically competitive Fortnite. He streamed for about 5 hours today, did a bunch of creative, played some arena, played some pubs. It was pretty cool to see Chap back on the game. If you guys don't know, I'm a massive Chap fanboy, always have. He's one of my favorite people in the scene. We've been friends for a long time now. Seeing him come back would make me so incredibly happy. Next question you can ask, is he going to compete? How's he going to go? I tried to ask him this myself. It seems like if Chap's going to come back to Fortnite, he's always going to want to compete in some way or another, and it takes a lot of effort to find a good team, prac, get a drop spot, do all that. But hey, he's at least considering it. Do I think Chap's going to come back and, you know, now make it to Grands and place? I think he could make Grands if you put the time in. Do I think he could place? We'll have to see. It depends how much time he wants to put in. I was watching his mechs. They didn't look too bad. They look very, very similar to before he stopped as well. Obviously, the game has progressed a fair bit in the last half a year, especially mechanically when it comes to IGL. So I feel like he's going to have to step his game up, but Chap has more competitive experience than I think almost any other player out there. And I'd love to see him come back, maybe like similar to Arab style, maybe even a little bit like Colazo. I know Colazo's made the last 2 Grands, but that idea of playing the game but still playing other games here and there. You scrim, you play the tournaments, but you're not taking it as seriously as some other teams. If you do well, awesome. If you don't, it's a bit of content. I would love to see that from Chap, because Tom, 72 Hours, and Chap, they were 2 of my favorite people to watch Fortnite. Yes, they were insanely good, so they were just funny and having a good time popping off, but they're also just very funny individuals who I think even if they're not as good at the game, they're not, you know, tier 1 pro level, they'd still be really fun to watch. And funny enough, I mentioned Tom, 72 Hours, actually admitted on stream that he played Fortnite off stream the other day. So I don't know, fingers crossed we could be having Tom and Chap coming back to Fortnite. So some good news on the horizon. I'm pretty excited. Not too much to talk about in the terms of new team swaps. Obviously, Bugha looks like he now kind of has found his team. It's not really official from what I can see. Don't know too much information. I'm kind of just trusting of what I've heard here from different streams and different pro players. But it looks like Bugha's going to be running it back with Avery and now Skittles. Skittles has been trying to find a team since he got dropped from DGen Ages, who've obviously picked up Kanata now. But Bugha, Avery, Skittles, I think that could be a really, really interesting team, and I'm excited to see how it goes. I wanted to update it because I knew you guys are going to be asking what's going on with Bugha's team. We had pro scrims today. I'm not entirely sure if they were playing it or not. I didn't see them too much in the feed. None of them were streaming it, but I have heard from pretty good sources that they are at least trialing as a team. So when they announce it officially, they pick a job spot. I'll talk about it some more, but hey, Bugha's definitely still got some options out there. Alright guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please chuck a like on it. Let me know in the comments section down below your thoughts on anything I talked about today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.